Hi, Nisha. It's so nice to have you on a call with me today. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for joining us. And thank you for everyone who's joining in on this little chat that Nisha Moodley from Fierce, Fabulous and Free.com and myself are going to have today. And, so you all know, Nisha and I have met through online circles, and I had the pleasure of going to her beautiful retreat last year in San Francisco. And it's just, we wanted to have another little kind of tea catch up together, and we thought, why don't we video it? So here we are.
Yeah.
So exciting. And I literally feel
Thank
like I'm
you.
back in
Thank you so
San
much for
Fran with
having me.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just going to literally have a chat on some topics I think that I always love to hear from you, but also things that are really coming up for my clients at the moment that I think every time I kind of get into it with them, I'm like, this is Nisha's specialty. Like, we should totally, jam on this. So I think we're just going to,
Awesome.
chat on those kind of topics. So where should we start? Like, one of the things that's really on my mind, and I would love to hear your point about this, is I've been working with a lot of clients this year, most of whom have trained as health coaches, but really want to do more of their own personal, getting into their purpose. They know they want to be a coach. They know they're passionate about health, but really turning more into bringing all parts of their lives into their business, not just the health.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I've been working with them all on is really getting into their why. Like, why are they here to do this? What is really important? And I did hear you speak on literally pretty much the same thing a few days ago, and I was like, I need to ask for her point of view on this. To me, it's key in bringing out a personal brand and your own business where you're coming from a place of true creation, not competition, not worrying about what everyone else has done with their similar training, etc. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you are championing the connection to our why, the reason why we do what we do. And the way I think of it is there's a why for me and a why for the world. The why for me is about the kind of life that I'm creating for myself, the kind of freedom and flexibility that I want in my life. It's kind of the future vision of my life that really inspires me and has me get out of bed every day and move forward. And then there's the why for the world, which is, what's my vision for the future of this planet and her people that has me, again, getting out of bed every day and taking the steps that I need to take. And I think that when we're really connected in with our why, everything that we're doing is coming from a place of deep service. And, there are other people who, although the way that they language it may be very different than the way I do, their why might be very similar to mine. And I actually think that that's great. Like, we need more people who champion all of our collective missions. How many people's why is around women feeling empowered in their bodies or around, us having a healthier planet. And I'm glad that there are so many of us who have that. And then within that, we're each, our own unique snowflake with our own personality, our own story, our own life experience, our own way of expressing ourselves that can draw people in to that bigger why, but because, through the frame of us being unique and kind of attracting the people who most resonate with us. So yeah, I'm so with you on having that bigger why as being a really important part of creating a personal brand. And, what we do might change over time. My niche, when I started out as a health coach, I went to integrative nutrition in the States in 2007. And when I started out, I was just like, well, I just want to help people and, be my own boss. That was basically my why. It was like not really very dialed in. And then I really got clear on this bigger reason why, for me and for the planet. And that's when I started doing emotional eating coaching. So I was working with women to find freedom from emotional eating. And that has just evolved over time. I realized that there was something bigger that I wanted to do and that it was really still about sisterhood and freedom. So I shapeshifted my work into working with entrepreneurs and, so it can change. I think what we do can change over time. But when we have that anchoring why, we can feel more grounded through those changes. And also it makes sense for the people our fans, our followers who are going along for the ride and watching these changes happen, that there's this grounding force called why we're doing what we're doing.
Absolutely. Do you know what? I love hearing you talk about that from your perspective, that I work with as well, is that the why, yes, we want to help the world. Yes, we want to do good. And at the same time, I had a lot of clients coming to me saying, I'm going to quit my, well-paying corporate job and go work in a health shop because then I'll be a better person. Or maybe they didn't put those words in there, but,
Yeah.
And the piece about the why for me, or the why for you, and the why for each individual person, sometimes I think we can fall into feeling that part is selfish, or that part is like, my why is so that I can live this lifestyle. I can live, 2 minutes from Bondi Beach. I can go for lunch with girlfriends. I can work from a cafe. And ultimately, so I can create wealth for myself to travel, to dress how I want, to live in the home I want, all these things. And that will come from a business that fuels me and serves the world. But that why for me took me a long time because that felt selfish, or that can't be the why. That's not a big enough purpose, And I think this is the bit where the why for us, we almost need permission to step into that and be honest, because actually that's our truth. If we're wanting that, that's our desire, and that's what's actually calling forth more of who we are. So hearing that from your perspective is, so good.
Yeah. And as messengers, as kind of as lighthouses, if you're a lighthouse for people, if you're shining the way for people and the light burns out and if the light burns out in the lighthouse, there's no more light. There's no more being of service. If you're burnt out, how are you going to show up in service if you're burnt out? And I think, we want to say that we're so altruistic and listen, I'm so driven by my why for the world. I am so driven by it, and there are days where it's hard. It's like you got to write the sales copy. You've got to finish the thing. We all have administrative work that maybe isn't our favorite thing to do on the planet. And I haven't outsourced absolutely everything that could ever, rub me the wrong way. It's just, it's part of growing the business is that there are these growth points, and there are just things that I do sometimes that I need to get up and do that I don't always want to do them in the moment. And I'm just, okay, the encouragement that I get to do them is, yes, this vision for the world and also this vision for my life. And, listen, there was a time where I was solely fueled by my vision for the world. And I was in that place where I was like, I don't feel like I deserve to, charge more because who am I? I should be helping as many people as possible. And, it was really all for the world and not for me. Well, side note, I'm part of the world. So I'm part of the world. I don't know who I think I'm out there saving if I'm not taking care of myself. And I was really on the verge of quitting. I remember hearing the Dalai Lama quote, "The world will be saved by the Western woman." And I was like, dude, I'm trying. I'm trying to save the world. I have this vision of the future, and I'm out there and I'm trying to save the world. And I'm about to quit because it's unsustainable. I'm exhausted. I'm working until 2:00 in the morning, getting up at 7, and every night, and no front time with my friends. And my husband and I, our marriage was falling apart. I was like, I can't keep this up. And that's when I really got that it's, those of us who are going to make the save the world are the ones actually being the change ourselves too. And that's where I got my saying, the world will be set free by women who are free. It's not just about the world. It's also not just about us. And if we have it the purpose of my business is to make money, well, that's also an unsustainable business. And if it's my purpose of my business is just to help other people and forget about me, I'll take a crumb. Both are unsustainable. So it's really about being holistic in our view.
And I think that's, why I put that emphasis on that it's for us as well. But that is not from a selfish perspective. It's like the why for the world is what's actually driving us. And it's finding this this balance. And I think that's a point, for us to go into more if we can, because, I set up my initial health coaching business on not burning out because I was so determined to find, or I knew that it was possible for us as women to work from a more feminine place, to work from our purpose, to work without, it just started not really making any sense in my mind anymore that you had to go to a corporate office and be drained and be unhappy. It made no sense. I wanted that freedom lifestyle. And so I talked about it a lot and I did it a lot, which was great. And then, of course, the business took off. And like you're saying, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I'm talking about these topics and I'm working till maybe never 2 a.m., but midnight many times, not seeing my husband at night. I started getting to the stage where I was forcing yoga classes between clients because that felt like then I was getting the balance. And sleeping till 9 o'clock.
Downward dog. Upward.
Yeah. Because then I'm getting this lifestyle balance. And I feel like it's gone through waves in this. So, let's jump a little to when you get to that stage in your business. Because I actually think, setting this up from the start is even better. The whole thing of like, how do we do the big hustle and really make an impact in the world? Because let's be honest, to make the impact in the world that we do need and that we desire to lead as these leaders that we're coming through as, we need to play big. We can't just sit at home and do 1 or 2 clients a week. We need to actually build not just a business, pretty much a company, going pro with this. When we're ready, when we're there, it needs to be of the professional nature that the other big players are doing. It was part of my journey, actually, of healing my past, advertising for Microsoft, Coca-Cola, Nokia, eBay, that I thought was bad, and bringing that full circle and going, we need those skills for us. And we need to be playing at that game, and that level. There's no reason why we can't be. And then at the same time, the likes of them, those brands have got, thousands of people working for them. How do we manage this? Like the big hustle to make the big change and fueling ourselves just as equally. I doubt that you've got it worked out any more than, I necessarily have it worked out, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, definitely. It's like, for me, it feels like an ever evolving thing. And I feel really great with where that is right now for me personally. And some of the things that I've learned, one is really looking at where we want to take things, let's say in 2 years, 3 years, or even just a year. And then being really honest about what are the few things that I can give big attention to that will move the needle forward the most. And one of the biggest problems that I see is just people trying to do too many things. They've got like 8 launches on the calendar for a year, and they're just sort of like throwing things on the wall and seeing what sticks and kind of scrambling from one thing to the next. And, I sat with a good girlfriend of mine who our businesses are in similar places, and she's just like really, she's beyond hit her stride in her business. She's doing great, but she was just burning out. And feeling super exhausted. And, she had a cold that lasted for 6 weeks or something. And I said, sit down with me and show me your calendar. And as we looked through our calendar, it was just obvious, like, this event that you're doing, that can go. This little launch, don't bother with it. Put more energy into the ones that you're already doing, or put as much energy and take that time off and give it to yourself. So I think sometimes, like, having too many irons in the fire, it can just be such a drain on yourself, on your team. And, sometimes less is more. Totally. And I know that one of the challenges for me is just learning to say no more. And one of the ways that I do that now is I have my business manager. And this is, I think, a great place for any of us if we're working on this bigger level, to do is I just empower her to say no to opportunities if she doesn't feel like they're right, because I don't trust myself. I know that I'll be like, oh, well, she's just starting out. I want to help her. And, you know, if I do that, I will literally have a full-time job working 40 hours a week doing, you know, like this blog post and that interview and like, you know, 17 telesummits a week. I mean, I don't know about 17, but you know what I mean? I could have a full-time job just doing lots and lots of stuff. And it's hard for me to say no. And so having my business manager be empowered to say no, thank you on my behalf so that we can preserve time and energy to do the other things that are really important. I've just learned so much the power of and importance of saying no and really learning to discern which opportunities feel really enlivening and like they're going to, you know, move you forward. And not everything I do is because I feel like I'm going to get some big payoff. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm sitting here with you and it wasn't like, oh, well, I'm only going to do this. Like, how big is your list? And, you know, what's my payoff? It's just that I feel this great sister connection with you. And I like the opportunity to sit and talk with you for a while. Like, yeah, I'm a yes, you know, to it. And so I think there's also a human aspect of it, but yeah, saying no to more so that we can fully say yes to the things that are important to us, which includes time with family and friends and loved ones and self-care and all of that. I think that scheduling from a yearly perspective, like less things on the yearly calendar, but also being really ninja about, you know, if I say I don't take clients on Monday, I don't take clients on Monday. If I say I take weekends off, I take weekends off. If I say I'm done at 7, I'm done at 7. And being strict with those boundaries so that we're not getting sloppy with them. And then kind of being creative about putting things in place to help us be more strict with those boundaries. It's like really good self-mothering.
Absolutely.
Those are the first few things that come to mind. And I mean, I think the other thing is just getting more support than we think we should have. And, you know, I definitely grew up, I feel like, you know, my mom and a lot of her friends, when I was like the women in her generation when I was growing up, they were like, I cannot believe what they were what they were handling. Like my mom had a full-time job. She had her family. She cleaned the house. She cooked. She did everything. She was total superwoman. And, you know, it's now in my mom's life that I've talked to her and she said, like, I wish I was more relaxed about the house, or I wish, you know, little things. And she was a great mom and she fully showed up. And I bet that there was more she could have given to herself. And so I think it's such a great opportunity for us now. We live in a time where there's an app for everything, where you can get things delivered, where you can get help pretty inexpensively from people who are happy to help. They want that money, you know, like college students and, you know, and so it's just been such a joy to me to buy some of my time back, you know, by hiring people to do stuff for me that I either don't want to do or I'm not great at doing it, or both.
It comes back to, doesn't it? Almost like that guilty, selfish, like how we think that life is meant to play or meant to be, and really stepping into this place of allowing ourselves to break those mindsets and step into what is true for us. One of the biggest things that I have gone through is getting more and more and more support. And in some ways it's been a non-negotiable, because getting so busy, full schedule of clients, it's like, I can't do this. And it's been a really interesting, you know, personal development, etc. journey on being supported and it being okay, you know, societally, to get people to help. But once you break that mindset, then to me, that's really where you can step into that next level of the game. And you're purely, I mean, we've all heard it talk, you know, the thing of doing just what you're good at, etc. But once that structure is in place, like you say, and you've got the business manager taking care of all this, and you've got, you know, your housekeeper taking care of the house, all these things, then you literally can just get up and make a difference in the world by working with people one-on-one, or spend the time on that one thing, you know, that you know is really important. And equally
Yeah.
hearing what you're saying, always listening to your own like internal compass. Like if it's fun to turn up and do an interview with someone, then do that, but you're more in flow then. Like almost when the masculine structures are in place and you've got people taking care of you.
Totally.
And there's like this almost princess, feeling to it coming to me where people are like, oh, I couldn't do that. Or what would people think of me? And I've got to the stage where I really believe it's non-negotiable. Like, you have to be taken care of. You can't do it all. Not to have this, level of a game going on.
I mean, it's so kind of cliche to use her as an example, but, Oprah has lots of people helping her. And Oprah couldn't be Oprah if she was doing everything that goes into running the Oprah machine. If she was like editing her own magazine and laying out her own magazine and cleaning her toilets and feeding her dogs and and doing all of that stuff. The time, I love Maria Forleo. She says, time is the great equalizer. We all have 24 hours in a day. You don't get to cash in chips and buy more time. The only way to do that is to cash in your sleep chips, which basically buy you less time overall because you're probably going to shave some years off of your life because you're trying to get by on 4 hours a night. So, I think that we can have it all, but we can't do it all. And if we want to have it all, we definitely can't do it all. And when I started to realize, my conversation about what was okay, it's not, I don't need to hire a house cleaner or, it's so weird to get somebody to come and help me with that. When I realized that was actually kind of a selfish conversation, I'm not going to grow any bigger and serve more people because I'm unwilling to give up this task. So I'm going to spend 2 hours doing that instead of spending 2 hours helping somebody. And then when I started to realize, a lot of these services that you find online now around the world, the people who I'm hiring to do things, whether it be my business manager or, the person who delivers my groceries, these people are happy to have work. And they have the opportunity to choose that for themselves, to choose that life. And just realizing that I'm not putting somebody out by employing them. I'm providing an opportunity for somebody to have more of what they want in their life. And also I'm able to serve in a bigger way because rather than, spend that 2 hours doing laundry, if that's what I dislike doing, and it's a time suck for me, I can spend it doing something that's of service, or I can spend it resting so that I have more fuel to be of service.
And I think that's the thing that's coming to me while we're talking. It's like, yep, we're going to, clear the decks so that we can work more. And it's like, no. Yes, so we can serve more and we can be more in our essence and, like you say, in our light, like the lighthouse, more on. But what about the other things? Like, it's something that I'm always inspired by you. Like, I don't know, I love seeing like your little dinner parties or, the decorating the house or, these things. Let's talk about some of those fun things. I don't know, just because we can.
Yeah.
Too much business. And how they, of course, like how these actually are fueling us. Like, how do these all fit into the bigger picture?
Yeah. I realize that when I feel great in my body, I feel so much more resourced to do my work. And not just physically, and from an energetic perspective, but I feel more emotionally capable of doing my work. So things that are non-negotiable to me, my Pilates is non-negotiable. Grocery shopping, having great food in the house and feeding myself. Spending time outside, going for a walk every morning. I mean, those things are just non-negotiable because if I don't take care of my body from that very basic perspective, I just don't feel physically strong. I don't feel mentally strong. I don't feel emotionally strong. I feel like shaky and out of control. And things like, I just enjoy being in my house more when I have beautiful flowers. And when I have beautiful flowers in my house, it's easier for me to sit down and focus on my work. You know, I like having a clean house, like a really kind of anally retentive clean house. And so I do what I have to do to have a clean house. And I spend a lot of time out with girlfriends. And, you know, part of actually getting over the hump with that, because there was a time where I spent no time with my girlfriends at all. You know, I just nothing. And it was really a matter of like filling my calendar in advance and then going, even if I thought I had too much work to do. And that is totally a non-negotiable in my life right now. And lately, you know, my friend Sarah Jenks just had a baby. And so I've been over there about 2-3 afternoons a week, just helping her and helping her. You know, I've realized helping someone with a newborn, there's nothing else I can do. It's just, you know, you're holding a baby, they're puking on you, you're changing their diaper. That's it. There's nothing else that can be done in that space. So it's great. It's given me 2-3 afternoons a week where I just get to be with my girlfriend and help her. It feels so good to have my lifestyle align more with my values in that way, you know, and just spending more time with my family and all that great stuff. Absolutely. But yeah, I just, like my home environment is really important to me. So just taking care of that in every way and making sure that it's beautiful and I have great food and I've got beautiful flowers and just getting up and getting dressed every day and adorning myself. You know, I'm kind of a jewelry nut. It just feels good. And, you know, and there's an aspect of that I get. I can show up better in my work when I'm coming from that place. And also, you know, I have a personal brand and it's, would I want to be Instagramming pictures of like me with like unshowered with sweatpants on every day if that were my actual life? Yeah. You know, no. And I don't want to lie on the internet. So I better be living it. I better be living what I teach. And then there's, you know, there's also an aspect that is just, you know, like I think wonderfully selfish, which is I just feel better. I like my life more when I have a life.
And isn't that what we're after?
Yeah, I like my life more when I have a life. And so I just give myself the gift of having a life that I enjoy.
Yeah. This is something that I just love about helping women create their own personal brand. Because in some ways it's like collapsing the timeline. It's not, I'm going to create a, you know, a coaching business. It's going to help people and change the world and eventually I'll make money. And then one day I might be able to buy some nice clothes and I might be able to get a nice apartment. It's like, no, walk your talk now and choose to live that now and choose to step out as that person and inspire other people because you already are that. And there's so many stories of why we have to wait and I don't deserve it yet. I haven't worked hard enough yet. And this is to me where the absolute crux of what I'm loving coaching women on creating their own personal brand is it's bringing the personal part of them to the fore now. And ironically or not, that is what's making people unique. That's what's making people shine online. It eliminates competition. No one can show up as you. No one can show up as your own unique, you know, self. And I believe that that's what's changing the world is when we're giving women permission to step into that now, as opposed to you need to drink your green smoothie and go for a run and, you know, get 10 likes on Facebook, you know, all these kind of old things that we thought we were buying. I just don't think it's that. I think it's stepping into our power now and using our business to do the same ripple effect for our own clients and our own audiences.
Yeah, amen, sister. I think the time of us looking good but not actually walking our talk is dying. I think people can feel it. They can sense what's really going on over there. And that's great. I mean, it's good news. If I were getting away with living a lie and presenting one thing on the internet and actually living something entirely different, it would be a pretty crappy reality to live in, you know? And so I'm grateful that people can sense inauthenticities and incongruence. And so it actually calls us to step up and live in our message.
And again, our business is the biggest personal development journey ever.
It's a biggie, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I could talk to you forever, Nisha.
Me too.
But I want to mention, to my audience who's watching this video and to anyone else that, last year I went to San Francisco and met Nisha again and went to her retreat. And it was just so beautiful, like being amongst like-minded women, talking about all these topics that we're talking about now. And we literally did do things like sit down and look at our calendars. Big reality check for me then. You've got 12 pockets in a year. How many things do you think you're really going to get done? Things like that. And taking space out of your busy everyday schedule to go to new places, interact with like-minded people and shake things up a bit. It was one of the highlights of my year last year. So I know it wasn't part of our talk today, but I do want to put that out there. That's coming up soon with both Nisha and Sarah. So yeah, if it's of interest, go check out on Nisha's site. I'm sure all the details are there.
It's at livefreeretreat.com.
Of course, yeah. Excellent. So good.
Yeah.
All right. We could talk forever, but
yeah.
The mix again of the hustle and ease, we should, I guess, carry on with our days.
Thank you so much, Amanda. It's so great to be with you today and with your audience as well. Thank you.
Pleasure. Have a good day. Love you lots.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.